Okay, you guys that are watching, this is Caroline Fitz. I found her on Instagram. And actually, a very good friend of mine in India sent me you.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
Yes.
cool.
So I watched one video of Caroline. Caroline loves to, what I notice is you're just walking. You're just walking. You're doing a walk. You'll do a quick 30-second blurb at the camera. Usually it's definitely, again, no nonsense, no fluffy romanticism type talking. It's just do this. And that's it. And especially, what was the one that cracked me up so much? Oh, the stuck in the quicksand one.
Oh, yeah.
That was good.
I'm
You're
glad you
like,
like that.
are you going to analyze the quicksand? Are you going to wonder how you happen to make your way in here? Or are you just going to figure it the fuck out and get out of there? Okay, that was my spin on how she said it much more diplomatically.
Well, yeah, maybe, but yeah, I mean, that's sort of, yeah, and not to bash therapy at all. I spent a lot of time in therapy and I'm not really sure any of it helped. And I'm talking over decades, like, from when I was young and not 4 decades, but, at periods of time in my life. But there's just, I personally, and also professionally have, it's just so clear how much changes when you step into what you really feel inside. It has a really funny way of healing all the shit. And
Oh my God. I
and
love that you
it's
put that in quotes.
well, I mean, because and I mean personally, I started to notice the pattern that like when I was struggling the most, I was in a situation, be it a relationship, a town, you know, anything
Diet.
that my body was like, oh, hell no. And my soul, but I didn't make that connection because, for years I'd been told, well, there's something wrong with you and you need to dig it up and find it. I mean, I was not to get right into it, but I mean, as a
Please
teenager, I
do.
was hand fed the idea I was abused by a psychologist.
Oh, thank
I won't
you.
go into all those details, but it spun me around for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But finally, I'm like, there is zero evidence of that. Zero. I mean, zero. And specific to a person. So I really knew there was zero evidence after I stopped spinning. But but the bottom line is that that's really what I found personally is that for years I knew there was more in me and I didn't know what it was and I didn't know how to access it. I didn't know, but it just was there. And then as I got older, it got louder and louder. But keeping that inside you creates so much crap that then gets, assigned to being trauma or abuse or whatever. And I'm not saying that plenty of people don't have trauma, but I do, I do know a lot of us had, maybe not the best childhoods, but our parents were doing the best they could with what they had. And, we all kind of could have wished for something better, but it wasn't necessarily trauma. But
Yeah.
I do
Or
think that their
abuse.
culture or abuse,
Yeah.
but I do
Yeah.
think that there is a a segment of our society that would like to attribute virtually any version of an unhappy childhood to trauma or abuse. And most of the time it's just, well, you didn't have a great childhood. Like
Yeah.
we all have,
Welcome to the club. It's
but
called human condition.
I don't mean any of that to take anything away from anybody who absolutely did have trauma, and true abuse. That's a whole different thing. Anyway, that I can't speak to.
You
But
are so much more diplomatic than me. I love it. You come with the small print down below.
well, yeah, I mean, because I don't like, I don't, I'm not here to offend people, and not everybody's going to agree,
Oh,
but
that's okay. I'll do it.
I don't want to be misunderstood as being like, you know, and that my way or the highway kind of thing. But anyway, but I just love it's funny because it's part of, it's part of all of it for me, seeing the thread in myself of my what I always talk about, my more, right? Your more,
Yes, I want to talk about that.
once I really realized there was an absolute thread from, oh, probably my late teens in everything I'd ever done.
Yeah.
But nothing, I didn't really kind of connect all the dots until probably my early 30s. That this was all the same thing in a different form. And that's my thing. That's my superpower. That's my more, that's whatever. Um, and I just love that. I mean, I used to be in fitness, same thing. I see what you have in you, and I want to help you get it out of you. I want you to see what you're capable of. And that's exactly what drives me now, too, is not just because of the benefits of it and how it like totally changes your life in the sense of everything suddenly goes, oh, and all the shit falls away and things feel, not that life is all, roses all the time by any stretch, but it's a lot better when you're coming from a place of alignment, and a place of being turned on internally. Um, but anyway, so
No, go. Okay, so this you're always kind of touching on that, and then I'm like, okay, I want the meat. I want
yeah,
the meat about this more thing, how you came across it, what it was for you,
yeah.
and just yeah, get into it a little bit more. Be a
Well,
Wikipedia.
more to me is more, well, more for me and more to me, is just like, it's just this sense that hits at some point. Maybe if some people are born with it, I don't think, I mean, maybe I was born with it, but I wasn't aware of it, until probably my early 20s, um, where you're just like, this is lovely. And what, there's something more that's not should, because I don't like that word, but there's something more in me, whether it's more, just more life experience, more in relationships, more in career, more in impact, more in, um just more like it's different for everybody, and it's a very vague kind of nebulous, you know, thing until we start to really look for it. And then once we really look for it, generally speaking, we deny it for a really long time. We go, no, 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 that's not it. Couldn't be it. Too simple. Um, but it is always, as I say, I've said it a couple times in videos. I think that uh it's pretty much always something so natural and so easy that you don't give it a lot of credit.
Yeah,
And that's part of why it's hard to find. Um, but for me, it just was always this sense that my life hadn't started yet. Like there was more coming, there was more I was gonna be doing,
well
and
said.
and and I still feel that way at 55,
No,
and I
60 here.
can't, and it depresses me to think that a lot of that's the wrong word, but it makes me sad to think that a
Yeah,
lot of people don't have that growth mindset where,
yeah,
and it's not a searching because you're lost. If you've seen that video, I think I
yeah,
talked about that in a video. It's not searching because you're lost. You're searching because there's no, there's more, there's bigger, there's still stuff to do and still stuff to explore of yourself and of life and of the world. And so for me, it really was probably I think it was the summer I was getting ready to turn 42, and birthday's in September. And I just kind of had this really low, horrible, didn't know what to do with my life. My daughter was almost 2. I felt like an idiot that I was 41 and I didn't know who I was, didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And and that was when I did some of my own work and really came up with sort of the core of it for me. And it was never, it was actually a process called the passion test that sort of started it all for me. And that's where I learned a lot about manifesting and ended up out in, I was watching some of your videos this morning, and I ended up, so you'll appreciate this. I ended up out at this conference, and just we were learning so much about energy and manifestation and law of attraction and stuff like that, which I really only knew a little bit about before then. And I was like, I mean, and I actually manifested that event. Like, that was not on my radar. And then there it was. And I called my sister and I'm like, you have to keep my child for this 4 days while I go to this conference. I'd never not been with my daughter. But anyway, but I remember saying to the women in the conference, I'm like, I want to go home and jump up and down and just talk about this because I've experienced it. It's so amazing. It's not just like I've learned it and it's cool. It's like I have felt this and used it and whatever. And so what I said about feel like going up and jumping up and down at home, which was Richmond, Virginia, which is actually where I am right now, at the time. And I said, but I feel like if I go home and I do that, all the people that know me are going to go, "What'd you do
Should we
with
put her?
Caroline?
Does she need a Thorazine drip?
Where'd she go? Who is this person?" But but anyway, but that's when I really sort of figured out the basis of my more. And it was, to me,
Mm,
it is helping people become better at what they're already trying to do. And I've done that in so many different things, obviously in fitness. Um,
hell
and
yeah, pull up that arm again. I was like, look at that bicep. Go, girl.
it's it's it sounds so general, and that's the thing about your more is that it's when you find it, recognize it, it usually is pretty general. But
Ah,
once you've named it like that in that general way, then the what does that exactly mean just shows up organically and from a manifestation standpoint, because you're like, okay, I get this now. I know this is the basic energy of what I'm here for and what I love and what I want to do and what's in me. And it's not always about a career by any means, but
yeah,
once you get a sense in that vague general terms, um, then the specifics show up with no effort whatsoever. And that's
yeah,
what's really cool. And sometimes it's a little hard to get people to believe that. And I'm like, just trust me, stay in this energy of this is the thing. This is the thread that's been running through your life and it's going to keep running and it's going to
yeah,
have different versions of it, but it's always going to be this thing. And anyway, I mean, it's kind of weird because it's like one thing, and I keep meaning to kind of talk about this in a video, is like when you get to that stage where you feel like you're on it, you're more, even if you're not really fully doing it, you're just there's sort of a nervous system, like that. But then you end up out in public and you look at people you don't know, and you're like, you love them. Like you love this stranger. You're like so attracted to, I don't mean in a sexual way. I just mean in a like, oh my God, I love the world. I love that person. It sounds so hokey, but it's because you're coming from a place where you just are feeling good
yeah,
and feeling. And so, like, to go back to your question a bit more, it's like when you know you're coasting, when you know you're not being challenged in a good way. I mean, obviously there's negative challenge, but I'm very big fan of positive challenge, because if we're not challenged, what the hell are we? And I think that's really what happens when, in part, it's kind of one of the ways the kind of squelched soul shows up is, well, I've got a lot of energy and a lot of brain power, and I'm going to use it somewhere, even if it's bad. And so let's just pick anxiety or let's pick
yes,
OCD
yeah.
because that's the channel.
Let's give
And
it a label.
yeah, well,
Yeah,
but just meaning that our brains are so powerful, and if we don't give them something decent to work with,
yeah,
we're going to start it's kind of a you can look at it two ways. It's like, well, that energy needs somewhere to go. Or you can look at it, if you think this way, you can look at it as your soul being kind of pissed off with you. And it's just going to make your life really uncomfortable until you notice,
damn it, you're gonna listen
well,
to me.
hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I love this. It's been interesting for me. Yeah, I mean, you could be telling my life here. It's been interesting for me to find my more, and
Yeah.
I kept giving it labels, same as you. Oh, it's law of attraction. Oh, it's being a channel. Oh, it's and every time I tried to take me and put myself into a box that has a label,
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
like being a caged animal. I start
Yeah.
pacing. I'm like,
Yeah.
and just only recently I named this channel of my YouTube channel Magic, Miracles, and Manifestation, because that's me. That's what I
Yeah.
love. But
Yeah.
again, it was like, oh, this is a box.
Yeah.
And so I realized my more is Kristen motherfucking Clark.
There you go.
There, and that was it. And it
Yeah.
was like, oh, there she is.
Yeah. That's
There it
awesome.
is.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
there
Yeah.
it is. And you talk about something that is like, well, it doesn't, who is that? What is that? I'm,
Yeah.
I am not, I just turned 60 and I'm still learning it. I'm
Yeah.
still discovering it because she's constantly, it does the opposite of a box and
Yeah.
a label. It
Yeah.
does the
Yeah.
exact opposite.
And that's
And
such a key to know as you point out, it's like you could feel the difference. When you put yourself in, gave yourself a title or a label, a definition, which is how we are trained to figure out, well, what am I here to do? What am I, everything, it's like, well, it's what, it's got a label, it's got a title. But when
yeah,
you take the title away, I mean, when you put yourself in the title, even if it's sort of the right title, it still feels like contraction and contracting, and then you became who you are, and all
yeah,
of it just feels expansive, and that's the tell, right? Like
yes.
whenever we start to feel this way, or like we're pushing against something, or there's something pushing against the inside of our chest trying to get the hell out, that's the thing that unfortunately you take that to a doctor.
And they're like, anxiety.
"Hmm,
And you're like, no, I'm just a
maybe,
chiller. And they're like,
yeah, maybe
no,
not.
schizophrenia.
Yeah. It's just it it I just, yeah, I feel pretty strongly about that. I think uh that
No.
that so much has so much trouble that we have has its origins in alignment, or rather lack thereof.
Lack thereof. Yes.
And whether it's
Yes.
the marriage,
Yeah.
whether it's the career they feel stuck in, whether it's the whatever, you can't do that sort of shit and get away with it unscathed. You just can't,
Nope.
right? Like it's going to eat you alive in one way, shape, or form. And likewise, knowing you have more in you and not doing it will eat you alive. Ask
Oh
me how
my
I
God.
know. And it's, it's so, both of those are so much simpler than, and so much more, like they just make so much more sense than, oh, I don't
Yeah.
know, uh, that it's everybody had trauma, or that everybody has a chemical imbalance, which by the way doesn't exist, but that's a whole nother story. Um, but anyway, but it's just, to me, too much of our quote unquote unhappiness is attributed to the fault being in the person,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
that the person needs fixing, when most of the time that's not actually what it is. Or
You
fixing.
know, I got to tell you this. This was years ago. This is like 20 years ago. I came before internet stuff. I came across this article of a tribe somewhere in Africa,
Uh-huh.
and they believed when people are, back then it was psychic, ESP and all that. When people were channeling another being or whatever, there's no such thing as schizophrenia. There's no such thing as, the mental breakdown or anything like that. And
Uh-huh.
there was this man from this tribe who came over to the United States to get his degree, and he was working in a mental hospital, and he asked if he could take some of these patients back with him and line them up with the shamans who are going to take this. I mean, because some of these kids were just going nuts. They're just
Yeah.
like, I hear voices, I hear this, I hear that, and they're just like, well, let's give you more Thorazine, let's give you more this and that. And this young guy, he was just like, listen, we need to approach this from a different angle. So he part of his doctorate was to take these people over back to his tribe, hook them up with these shamans who would support what these kids are going through, who would help them embrace it, help them get into it, listen to what they were hearing.
Uh-huh.
And oh my God, the results were it. And the a lot of the belief was, oh, you're just going to make this person worse. You're just going to make them worse. They're going to completely lose their understanding of reality. You can't do this. And it was just the exact opposite. They
Huh.
settled. They
Yeah. Yeah.
settled. They relaxed. All their anxiety, all of that went
Yeah.
away. The voices stopped being voices I'm hearing, and it started being a different energy, an energy of
Interesting.
empowerment, of strength,
Huh.
of understanding that the voice they're hearing is coming from, you could call it their soul, their
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And it was guiding them and helping them to calm, to relax. And then through that, they were able to help others in
Cool.
whatever way.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And that was, again, that was what set me on the path of, like I said, you're so nice when you're like, oh, you might have I'm not going to put your horrible childhood down, da, da, da. And I'm over here going, you had no fucking horrible childhood. Suck it up and understand that you're amazing in what we're seeing as a negativity. Oh, don't be negative. You only be positive, love
Yeah.
and light, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I'm over here going, team human. Hello, let's see
Yeah.
anybody else handle hitting rock bottom and digging. And that was the video I recently
Yeah.
put up where I was
That's
just
all.
like,
Yeah.
hold my beer, babe,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I can do that. And
Yeah.
then I can make it home for a steak dinner.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I can go through the
Well,
worst of the worst.
part of why I say that is because as you know, there are people who um, that's their comfort zone,
Yeah.
that they had a horrible
Yes.
childhood. And and that's the cause of all of it. And that's fine. That is not who I'm talking to. I'm
It's who
talking, and
I'm talking to.
I'm not trying to convince anybody of
Yeah.
anything. I'm speaking to the people who already feel the more, and they're
Hmm.
trying to figure it out. And
Yeah.
don't necessarily know that having that more and not knowing what it is and not letting it out, or knowing what it is and not letting it out, is creating a lot of trouble
Yeah.
in their being. And that just becoming, like, let her out, let that version of you
Yeah.
out, in any way you can. And so, the people that I connect with are the ones that already know that.
Yeah.
They're not looking.
Exactly.
I'm not trying to
That's
convince
exactly
anybody,
it.
don't look back, you know, stop looking back. The people I like, you know what I mean, right? It's
Yeah.
just not, it's not, and it's also like with when I was in fitness, I didn't work with the people that just wanted to be put through their paces. I actually did do that, and I didn't love it. But my favorite part of my fitness life was my boot camp, where it was super hard, and people came because they knew it was super hard, and it was super hard for everybody. As one of my clients said, I love this quote. She goes, "It kicks your ass no matter what size it is."
Ooh, that was well. I want a shirt that says that.
I know, isn't that awesome? But anyway, but my point is that, just like with now, my clients with my boot camp business were people who knew they could do more than they were doing,
Yeah.
and that's why they came. And
Yes.
they didn't just want to go to a gym and do a couple of little things. And anyway,
I
so
used to run a boot camp.
what's that?
I said I used to run a boot camp. That was
Did
my
you?
first. That was my first business.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I know. It was an outdoor fitness,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Mine was too,
and
in Maine. I was in Maine
I
year
was in
round.
California. Year round,
Yeah.
right on the beach,
Oh, that's
and
awesome. We were
yeah,
on the
and
beach too, but it was often in the snow.
let's see, we needed that.
Yeah.
Those girls needed that. But I love that. And you said something so perfect is you're like, the people who come to me know.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it. It's like what I understand is that people can't manifest me. They can't
Yeah.
manifest running across me if they're not ready to hear the
Right.
hardness. I had horrible childhood. We're talking rape. We're talking some really bad shit.
Yeah.
And it's very tempting to use that as your crutch, as your woe is me, as your but I always believed that the childhood I had created the woman I am.
Hmm.
Strong,
Hmm.
independent, willing to go strap on her backpack and go out in the middle of the forest and set up her tent for the night.
Yeah.
And, Sasquatch want to come on in? I got a fire going. Come on. So many
Braver
people,
woman
they're
than
like,
I.
I know, they're like, do you have a gun? You need to have a gun. And I'm like, no, I got my attitude. Um, but
That's
it,
fun.
you know, in, and so people understand that and my son was the same way. He was just like, he goes, Mom, I love that you, instead of saying, oh, when I was 13 years old, I was raped by my uncle, la, la, la. He goes, you just said, yeah, that's what made me the badass bitch I am. And, and yes, so the people who need to use their trauma as a crutch, they're not
Mhm.
going to find me. They're not
Yeah.
going to find
Yeah.
me because our vibrations just don't match
Yeah.
up at
Yeah.
all. And the
Yeah.
people who do, Like when I come
Yeah.
across you or whatever, it's like, there's my peeps.
Yeah.
There's my peeps. There's the one that's gonna understand this. And it's
Yeah.
funny, I see it. I see that in your videos. She's just right there under the surface. She's being nice, but
Yeah.
I can see it. And it's so perfect. It's so I love that. So now I don't have to worry about minding how I talk to this person. I can just be me. I can let
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of how I've always been, like with my boot camp, I was not, out there yelling instructions and whatever. I was, kind of basically saying, I know you can do this. Come on, and I mean, I wouldn't have, I kind of cringe at the term, but it's so true. It's like, well, well, the term I was going to say is oh crap, it just left.
Ah!
Creating, no, holding space.
Oh. Mm.
The truth is what I do is I create the platform
Yeah.
to allow them to, jump on board and go, yeah, I want to know what this is. I want to see
Yeah.
what I've got in me. And because like you either have that drive or you don't.
Yeah.
And and that's fine, because
Yeah.
if you don't, it
Yeah.
just those are not so much my people. But
Yeah. I was
but
there once, right?
yeah.
We were all there once. At
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
point, we were there.
Yeah.
And it's like, I understand that you were there. Okay. And I always say this, I'll just, tuck those people back in bed.
Yeah.
And when you're ready, I'm over here making waffles and get your
Yeah.
ass out of bed and come on over.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's funny.
Yeah. In fact, I had heard it was years ago, back in 2012. I was channeling. I did channeling. I was big into law of attraction and Abraham Hicks and Bashar and all of that. And I started channeling, and it was just out of
Yeah.
the blue. And it was like,
That's
oh,
cool.
I made it, right? Here's
Yeah.
my millions.
Mhm.
Here's all, and this is back when YouTube was an infant, and it's just oh my God, Amazon was for used
Yeah. Books.
books.
Books. Yeah.
Yes, remember
That's
that?
good.
I know. Here we're showing our age.
Yeah.
Anyway, it wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't.
Uh,
Mind blowing how much has
I
changed
know,
in 15 years. It's
I
crazy.
know. But one of the things that happened as I was channeling these beings is one time they said to me, "You do know you're not channeling anybody, right?" They're like, "You're just using us as your permission slip to access your own wisdom." And I went,
Oh,
"Oh, you just took my millions away. You just upset my apple cart." And the craziest
no,
thing, yeah,
no.
I know, but it wasn't a minute.
Yeah.
And the Kyle Cease is he was an actor, and then he turned comedian, and then he turned kind of spiritual guru comedian. And he, at the time, he said the exact same thing. Time I heard that, later that day, he told me the exact same thing, word for word, verbatim. And
Wow.
I'm like, okay, I gotta listen
Wow.
to this.
Yeah,
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 obviously
yeah.
I'm talking to me
Right.
very loudly.
Yeah.
And and that was the shift. That was the absolute shutdown of everything airy fairy about all of that,
Uh-huh.
and becoming team human. You
Yeah.
know,
Allowing yourself to own your wisdom
yeah,
and
own
not
my own
not
wisdom
not put it on somebody else just coming through you.
and holding them up on a pedestal because they
Uh-huh.
know me better than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love
Here's this
that.
non-physical that knows how to
Yeah.
be a physical better.
Yeah.
Wait a
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it all started, rolling. And what it opened up for me to own it all.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm still working on it. Here we are 15 years later. And that's where I had to understand that anxiety, the
Mhm.
things that wake you up at 3 a.m. like
Mhm.
last night stuff. This is team human. This is part of it. We're trying so hard to squash this and push it
Yeah.
away and vibrate
Yeah.
so high that now can't come into my reality. Well, I got news for you. This is part of the badass we are.
Mhm.
We this is the being a human is not for the faint at heart.
No, it's
It
not for
is,
sit.
yeah, very well said. It is not for sissies. This is the Olympic level here.
Yeah.
And like I said, we are, all of us can be down in the deepest of dirt and go home that night and have a steak dinner and be like, oh, yeah, today was great. I know. Yeah. And that's what blows me away all the time is
Yeah.
seeing the people that know this just on some level.
Yeah.
They know this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they may be doubting it, and that's cool. Yeah, right here, right there with you. That's
Yeah.
part of the human
Well,
condition.
yeah. And that's the thing. I think everybody kind of doubts it at times. And even once they've figured it out, they still doubt it, right? At moments.
Exactly.
But it's
Yeah.
I just what drives me is not just how much it solves when
Oh,
you figure out what you're really here for, or what your more is. But just that, God, to have anything in you that you're not expressing, not using, because you don't think it's a big deal, or you don't really know what it is, or you don't know, nobody else seems to understand. You're looking around at your friends and everybody else seems fine. But because it's not just expressing it from yourself and getting it out of yourself and the amazingness that is sharing it with the world. Like,
oh,
and without sounding hokey about it, I mean, the vast majority, maybe not all of us, but that's debatable, have something here to share and do and be and exude into the world that's of value. It's not like, they're the fancy people and the athletes and the successful people, and the rest of us are sort of extras that populate the planet. Um, and just, when some and again, not everybody knows it, not everybody feels it, not everybody cares, but man, when you know it, you have to get it out.
yeah,
And it's a beautiful thing on both directions, both what it solves and what it creates.
yeah.
Um and that's the other thing too, is that once you do that, once you realize that, talking about the anxiety that comes up, or the 3 a.m. or whatever, when it instead of that whether it's anxiety, whether it's OCD, whether it's just stress, unhappiness, whatever, like, you learn that that's actually just a signal. It's not a indicator there's anything wrong with you. There's something wrong for you. And so then and when it pops up, and I still have it, right? It's like, well, what is going on here? Like, why am I suddenly, like, just really tightly wound or on red alert? Like, what is it? And it's not like I'm saying I'm faultless or that it doesn't have anything to do with me, but it generally, all right, 99.8% of the time, is there's something in my life that doesn't fit, and
Yeah.
that either doesn't fit who I am, or it's not allowing me to be who I am. And the tension that it creates is when, for me, it's anxiety. That's what shows up. As I said, for years, that was, oh God, there's something wrong with me. I've got to dig it up. I've got to heal it. I've got to whatever. Well, now I know, no, actually, it just means I'm out of alignment in one direction or another, and find it, fix it. And also, even before you find it and fix it, you're just the awareness of knowing that's not a fault. It's
Yeah.
it's just an indicator. It makes, by
Yes.
knowing that, you're just like, oh, okay, makes it a lot less freaky, right? Like, you don't get as anxious, or you don't get as stressed, or you don't get as unhappy or whatever, because you're just like, oh, okay, that's what this is. That tones it down. And then you can figure out, well, what needs to shift, what needs to change. And anyway,
Oh, yeah. No,
I just find it
preach it.
fascinating. But it does
Preach it.
anger the hell out of people who are, you know, trauma and healing focused. They don't like it when I say
Well, that ain't me. So go,
that.
girl, go. And that's
But I
G
mean,
R R L.
everybody get, this is me being, polite about it. Everybody gets to do themselves.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm not, like,
Like I said, tuck them back in bed.
I'm not trying to convince anybody.
I am. I'll do it for you.
Well, in the sense that when I say that, I'm like, yeah, it's awesome if there's some people that hear what I have to say and go, oh, actually,
Yeah.
that does make sense. And I do understand that. And that does feel right. And if I, and, but then, um, the people who are, are sure that it's something else, then I'm not trying to convince them otherwise, just want to
The
talk.
funny thing is when I was channeling, and I was like, I mean, Abraham Hicks is this loving energy, right? It's this non-physical loving. They don't say what they are. And so I'm thinking,
But with
this
the
is,
personality, that's the best part.
oh yeah,
Loving with a heck of a personality.
I know. And I'm like, well, maybe I'm going to have angels. Maybe that's what I'm feeling. So, oh
Mhm.
no, guess what it was?
What?
Dragon.
A dragon?
Yeah, dragon. Well, it was actually dragon. If I had to give it a label, dragon consciousness.
Okay.
And my friend who knows me very well, she goes, "Oh, well, figures you'd get dragons." She goes, "That's just you." She goes, "You just breathe fire on everything." But anyway, I love that I did that for myself. I
Yeah.
created here I am thinking, angels or fairies. Oh no, I get
Dragon.
dragons. And it that again, there's my more. There
Yeah.
was my more. It was letting my dragon energy,
Yeah.
my suck it up
Yeah.
energy that made me a great boot camp instructor.
Yeah.
Um, it was letting that energy out.
Yeah.
Being okay with that, being okay with, no, I don't know anybody else like this, anybody
Yeah.
else but there's a reason I chose to have an MF in my name
Uh-huh.
is to remind me that it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. And when I get people that are like, oh, you shouldn't say fuck, I'm like, it's four letters making a sound. Get over it. You're the one that's creating all the drama about it.
Yeah.
And if it, and I did. I had a friend who was spoke another language. She didn't know what fuck meant. She never heard of it, and so for her, it was just like phew, right over.
Yeah. 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 That's
Yeah,
funny. That's funny.
and I love that. I love that part of our more is so uniquely us,
Yeah.
and it
Oh, it's
the
completely uniquely us.
yeah,
Really.
and you said bringing it out to the world, and I was like having the balls, having the boldness. Everything I post always has hashtag be bold,
Uh-huh.
because again, it's a reminder to me, be
Yeah.
bold in my beliefs, these ideas, these thoughts that come through me that nobody's teaching, nobody's showing this,
Yeah.
and remembering Albert Einstein, the same thing happened.
Yeah.
And here's the Wright brothers, who were bicycle mechanics. They were
Yeah.
not aeronautics.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and all these people who listened to what it is that's coming through,
Yeah.
and said, this doesn't make a lot of sense and nobody's doing it, but it lights me up. It
Yeah.
gives me that, oh my God, I don't, this is haunting me. This keeps coming
Yeah.
back around. I don't know why. And
Well,
go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say that we don't teach that. We don't encourage that.
Mhm.
We actually actively squash it from
Yeah.
young ages.
Well,
Um,
we, Caroline
Not
and
you and
I
I.
teach it.
No, we don't. No, what I mean is that the
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
the
When we're
idea of
kids.
the idea of boldness and being bold is not encouraged
Oh,
in our upbringing. The
yeah.
exact opposite is. And so,
Yeah.
and it's like, but if we aren't going to be bold, what do we do? You
Yeah.
know? And and for you and me,
Yeah.
and for the people that we connect with, um, there is even if it's not a conscious understanding, it's in there that if I'm not being bold, if I'm not being challenged, if I'm not, and I don't want, pushing is the wrong word, but if I'm not kind of going to my leading edge,
Yes. Step beyond it.
then what, constantly being, not even step beyond it, but just constantly being like, not always constantly, but like, yeah, let's keep
Yeah.
seeing what's in us. And once you have that at all in your thought process, um, even if it isn't conscious, it's just sort of an underlying sort of, you haven't really connected the dots yet. It's like there's no other way to live.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
when I mean I like the word challenge, I think I mentioned that earlier. I'll never forget this. When I was in college, I was doing a project with this kid. I mean, he was younger than I am, I guess. And he was telling me, said something to his girlfriend. And I was like, oh, cool. And, like, does she, I forget what I asked. And he said, I don't know that it's going to last. Um, and he said, she doesn't challenge me. And I was so
Oh,
flippin' impressed. I was like, I mean, here's this, I mean, I was probably, um, I took the scenic extended tour through college while I tried to figure out what I wanted to study and where I wanted to do it. And so I was probably 22 or I can't remember, but let's say I was 22, he was 20. Um, and, uh, and I just was like, dang, that is one aware young man, like to understand that that's something he wants. And then years later, I mean, I, kept that in my head, but years later, I was telling my boyfriend at the time about it, and he could not grasp the idea of the word challenge being a positive. He just couldn't imagine. And to me, challenge is such a great word. Like, no, I
yeah.
don't want the crappy challenges that make just are painful and horrible. But the challenge of that leads to growth. I mean, anyway,
Oh, no, keep
that was a
going,
little
girl.
side tangent there, but
That was
I
perfect.
I just love that I think that people that understand that challenge, positive challenge, obviously we grow from negative challenge too, but positive challenge is so important for growth.
Yeah.
Because you want to see what you have in you, right? Like,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I just anyway, it covers all of life. Again, I don't,
Yeah.
whether it was fitness, whether it's relationships, whether it's career, whether it's whatever,
Diet,
it could be one of
whatever.
any of it.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it's it just,
Yeah.
I want everybody to think big. That's
Yes.
all I mean, I'm not, as I said, I'm not going to try and convince somebody who doesn't, but
I am.
I
Send it my
thrive,
way. I'll do
I
it.
thrive on people doing life differently, more
Oh,
the norm too, because that
yeah.
takes so much guts.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, come on. Where would we be as a society
yeah,
if we didn't, have the delusional thinkers?
yeah,
Yeah, where would
yeah,
we be?
yeah,
You've got to be delusional to innovate, to
yeah,
create the shakeup that we need. We wouldn't have cell phones. We wouldn't have
yeah,
cars for
yeah,
crying out loud.
yeah,
We wouldn't understand quantum. We wouldn't be
yeah,
where we are
yeah,
right now. And tomorrow we're going to be so freaking much further
yeah,
because I mean, that's the way it is now. It's ramped up.
yeah,
So it
yeah.
started, back in the 80s. God, my cousin, I lived with my cousins and he had a Commodore 64 computer.
I
And
had one of those. We had one of those as kids. Yeah, I
it was
remember
so
that. That
wow.
was like the first thing.
I know. And we played Pong on it. We had
Yeah.
little paddles that did this,
I
and that
think I
was all
do
they
remember
did.
that actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was actually Atari, and that actually came out way earlier
I don't,
than the Commodore.
I don't think we had an Atari. I think we
Oh
just,
my
I
God,
don't know that we
we
ever,
did.
because mom wasn't big on the games. The Commodore 64, I remember building
Yeah,
images with the little squares.
with the little squares. And now they call that Minecraft, and it's
Yeah.
awesome. But and but
Sorry, I
it
totally interrupted where your thought was
no,
going with
it's
that.
that's me. I am such an interrupter. So I'm totally cool when people do it to me. I get excited about it. But it was everything just ramped up and got faster and
Yeah.
faster. And the computer you had yesterday was not no longer any good today.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
just and before we knew it, now we've got AI, and you talk about ramping it up. And
Yeah.
it's just the changes, the constant massive expansion. And I love when I've got these young kids going, we're in the middle of an awakening. And I'm like, yeah, I remember that back in the 80s too. And in the 70s. Oh, and there was
Yeah.
an awakening back in, you know, BC. I'm
Yeah.
like, well,
Yeah.
you talk about the human condition.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, babes, That's
Life.
you. Yes, life is
Yeah.
this constant everyday awakening
Yeah.
to what you may be perceiving as a delusional thought. And congratulations,
Yeah.
because that puts you up there with Albert Einstein. It's these people that say, yeah, this sounds delusional, I know, but for some reason I believe in it like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's what we need more of.
Yes. Yes, we do. But,
Oh my gosh, Caroline, I love that you came here and chatted with me.
well,
For
this has been fun.
everybody that's made it this far,
Yeah.
I will have all her information below where you can find her everywhere. And if you want to hook up with her and work with her, go to her boot camp in West Virginia. So
Yeah.
are
No,
you,
regular, right. Well, I'm in Virginia right now, but it's
yeah,
regular Virginia, not West Virginia. But
are you
living out.
nomading?
Yeah, well, for the summer, my daughter's
Yeah,
off at camp for a couple of months, and I'm just doing some ad adventuring myself, and came down
yeah.
here to see some family, and then leaving tomorrow, and who knows where I'll end up. But yeah, um,
I
it's
did that. I
did
did
you?
that during COVID.
Yeah,
I was so over the bullshit of
yeah,
masks and 6 feet apart and the
mhm,
fear, just the fear. I was just so
yeah.
over it that I got rid of 90% of my belongings and
Oh
just
yeah,
packed up my Subaru with my dog. And
oh cool.
yeah, and I had nowhere, I didn't know where I was going. I just
Uh-huh.
got in my car and went, hit the
Yeah,
road. And
that's
it was
awesome.
amazing how much everything lined up, of course,
Yeah,
going,
as it
I don't
does.
know where I'm
Yeah,
going. Yeah.
yeah,
And over and over. And for a year, I did this. And
that's awesome.
I had the most amazing, I saw the most amazing things. I had the most amazing times. Have you been to Devil's Tower yet?
You know. You're
Girl,
like,
you're going.
we drove right by it,
Oh
but
my God.
didn't know about it because we were aiming for spearfish and everything that's south of spearfish, but we didn't know about Devil Tower. But we do have to drive back across this country in September, so perhaps we will hit it
Oh
then if
yeah.
the northern route. But
This is your sign. You
yeah,
must go to
yeah,
Devil's Tower.
had
You
no
know,
idea. Had
yeah,
no idea.
go through Black Hills in
Oh, we did. Yeah, we
yeah,
did all that.
yeah.
Like
Oh my
that was,
God, you were
yeah,
right there.
yeah, we were
You
right there. We
were
drove
right
right by.
there.
No idea it was there. I mean, I do think I saw a sign, but I still was like, well, I'm headed for Spearfish and I'm headed for the Black Hills and the Spearfish Canyon and Sylvan Lake and Mount Rushmore and the Wildlife Loop and all those things we
Oh
did
my God.
in the Badlands. But yeah,
In the Badlands.
the
I'll tell
Badlands.
you, it number one, yeah, I was like way over on the diagonally opposite southwest corner of freaking Wyoming,
Uh-huh.
and I came across this pamphlet. It was in the road. And it'd been run over a few times, and I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
wow.
pick up the trash. And it was a flyer for Devil's Tower. And I went, this
It
is
wasn't
real?
trash. You were
I know.
supposed to go there.
I thought it was the Close Encounters. Yeah, I thought it was a prop. I didn't know this was real.
Yeah.
And I'm like
That's
going,
fun.
this is real? And you talk about feeling like you're on another planet. And I'm going, this isn't real. Wait a minute. The movie prop is still up. And then it's like, I'm reading about it and I'm going, this is real. And
Wow.
I made a beeline
Did
diagonally
you? That's awesome.
across Wyoming. Holy cow, Wyoming's huge. And
Yeah.
yeah, same thing. I got there and the line of cars to get in and everything. And I'm like, oh, there was a POA campsite. And
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I'm just going to go pull in there. Again, I had no idea what I'm doing. Pulled in, you're at the base of this monolith thing
Mhm.
and the POA campsite. And I just put up my tent in the middle of the grass. And that night, of course, they showed the movie Close Encounters of the
Oh,
Third
how funny. How
I
funny.
know it was so fun. I guess they show it like every night.
Probably, yeah.
Um, and I'm just laying there. The door of my tent is looking straight at it. It's just right there,
Oh, I thought you were going to say
framed.
something creepy.
Yeah, no. Well, all the grasshoppers were pretty creepy. It was like a
Oh,
locust movie
yeah.
going on. But no, and then the next day I just walked around this thing.
Yeah.
You're right at the base, and there's actually people climbing it, which is crazy. But it's enormous. It
Yeah.
is the most, and you feel that energy there. It is,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Oh,
you can't
cool.
explain it. You have to
Yeah.
feel it. You have to go there and go, holy cow, there is nothing. It definitely, I always told people that I came across, I'm like, if you're not spiritual when you come here, you will be when you leave.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny. No, we'll
Be,
definitely have to go.
oh, you guys have to. You have to. Of
Yeah.
everything I saw, and of course, I saw the Badlands and I saw, oh, Mount Rushmore. That was nothing. I'm like going, that's small because I just had seen
Oh,
this
yeah, yeah,
huge monster.
yeah.
And the weird thing is the ground, it's just a prairie. It's just
Yeah.
flat out
And
there.
then all of a sudden,
And there's this thing.
yeah.
And it's like, where, and where the
It's like
hell this come from?
Ayers Rock in
Yeah,
Australia.
I know. Yes. Yeah. It's like, who dropped this here? Who left this behind? But no, it really, the science behind it is fascinating as hell. Is and but it made everything I came, because the funny thing is after I left there, I didn't know where I was going, and all of a sudden there's this sign saying "Welcome to South Dakota," and I'm like, "How the hell did I get over here?" And so I went and saw everything that you saw,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it all paled in comparison. I
Really.
couldn't forget going, that thing is real. That thing is part of our earth.
Yeah.
That thing is, yeah, everything else was just like,
Oh, how funny.
yeah.
Funny. That's funny.
Oh my
Well,
gosh,
this
my
has been
dear.
so much fun.
Yes, yes. I really want to hear more of where you're going and what you're doing. And yeah, maybe have you come back on here and doing that, some more talking about what happened now.
Yeah, yeah. No, it sounds good. Well, this has been super fun. Thank you very much, Kristen.
Oh, thank you, Caroline.